Alright, welcome to my attempt at a setup video. I've never done one of these before, so bear with me. I'll try not to pivot my head too fast, but I'm using my Casual Shenanigans podcast light, just shooting it up towards the ceiling and wall to get a little more spill light in the room. But I normally keep my room pretty dim, so I tried to leave it set up pretty much as close to that as possible. I also didn't excessively clean everything. I normally have a little bit of clutter, and I normally have a few projects going on at any given time. So you guys wanted to see how I do my setup. That's how I do it. So first, short tour around the office. Over here, those are the new wheels for the Spider. Those are 949 Racing 6ULs in bronze with 205 50 R15 Bridgestone Potenza RE71Rs all the way around. Autocross starts next weekend, or this coming weekend by the time you see this. So I got to get those mounted this week. But like I said, always have a lot of projects going on, so there's a lot of boxes that are going to be cut up and recycled, or other things are going to happen with them. So I got books and miscellaneous things on that shelf. I used to have like a riser on this part of the desk, but I took it down. So future project is getting that stuff squared away. Right now it's a little bit cluttered. The potato masher is right down here. I just realized that the wheels and everything are kind of blocking a good view of it. So I mean, you know what the case looks like. In there is the smasher. That is our Arma and Plex machine. That was kindly donated by my good friend Steven, or Singularity 80. You guys might know him from the Forza Face-Off series. It's a 3570K. It doesn't have a graphics card in it at the moment. Like, it's just a basic machine. It runs our Plex server. It runs our Arma server for our Monday Arma nights. It also has run Minecraft servers, other things in the past. So that's there. That computer over there is a friend of mine's. I put it together from a bunch of spare parts. It's an old socket 775. He's just going to use it for like a server, but I'm troubleshooting some issues with it because the motherboard was a little bit finicky because it hadn't been turned on in a few years. So I borrowed it from him. I'll be giving it back to him shortly. Over here, this is my work shelf, I guess. That's my old 4K monitor. I'm probably going to take it to work at my new job. But that's currently just sitting right there. These are boxes of cables and old computer parts. Pretty much 2 shelves of that. Then we have camera equipment. So the bottom, this Pelican case, that's my main camera case. This is my main lighting case. This has my strobe and a couple speed lights in it. And then this is my small travel bag, big travel bag. I normally just travel with a Pelican case, to be honest. But there's a beauty dish for the strobe. And here's like the monopod I mounted on. Strobe itself's in there. Probably not that interesting. I'm just running through things as I think of them. So when I'm editing this, if it sounds boring, I'll cut some of this out. But you guys asked for a setup video, so you know, I got a lot of random junk going on in my office, so maybe you're interested, maybe you're not. Over here we got me and my wife's ski helmets, and then those are our racing helmets. Can't use them for the same thing. Those are Snell certified, those aren't. And then this is just miscellaneous things. Like I've got boxes for this mouse I got for work, and the webcam I got that's over there. And yeah, I mean, that's nothing really to see there. A lot of things on here are like in the middle of one project or another, so I've got things in this box for when it gets a little bit warmer. I'm going to be doing stuff on the Never Ending Project Garage channel. So if you want to see anything about autocrossing with these bad boys, or anything I'm going to be doing with that, go check out that. It's going to be at the top of the video description. There's going to be a ton of links in the video description for a variety of things. Here's just a couple canvas prints I've done. Used to be a professional photographer, now just a hobbyist. Actually, these 2 bottom ones, I'll throw them up on screen so you can see. They're kind of cool. They're Brennizers, and I know this light is casting reflections and making them glare out a little bit. But they're Brennizers, which is a technique where you take a really tight lens, shoot a bunch of pictures, like 30, 40 pictures, stitch them together, and you get like a 80 to 100 megapixel image with really shallow depth of field, but a ton of resolution. So it's a very, very interesting look that is technically impossible to shoot with one camera, one lens, one shot, so you have to fake it. But it's a cool technique that I like playing around with. And that's from Tail of the Dragon in Tennessee. That's actually not on the Dragon itself. It's, I believe, off the Sharahala Skyway, or it was one of the roads we took to get to the Dragon. But pretty picture. I liked it. That's just one of the ones from when I was a wedding photographer. I've got a bunch more hung up throughout the house, but, you know, I'm assuming you guys want to see actual gaming related stuff. So coming over here, as you can see, I've got sound deadening up here. It doesn't actually do a lot for bass, and it doesn't really isolate the room. It just cuts down on some of the harsher reflections, and it's made it so I hear a lot more of what's coming out of the monitors and a lot less of what's coming off the back wall. So it was kind of a pretty good cheap solution. We're renting like the downstairs of this house from friends of ours, so these aren't my curtains. I'm not super partial to them, but I always leave curtains all the way down and they just diffuse light. So I honestly have like no opinions about curtains or paint most of the time. Like, if you had told me this room wasn't white, I wouldn't have been able to argue with you unless I was looking at it. So that's how much I normally think about stuff like that. This is my reading chair. I sit in it and read. This seems like one of the parts that's not interesting for anybody. Here's my desk chair. It's not my favorite desk chair. I had one from Costco I really liked, but then it broke. So this is a Lazy Boy something or another. It's not bad. I think it's made for people maybe a little bit shorter than me, but it's okay. Looks like I'm still recording. I'm always nervous like when I'm wearing a GoPro that it's going to stop recording and I'm not going to know it. But okay, so here's my main setup, and we'll go down under the desk and look at the computer in a minute or two. So we'll just go through things left to right. These are my JBL LSR 305s. They're studio monitors. They sound really nice. They're my favorite pair of desktop speakers I've had. I've tried a bunch. I've got them on some of those sound deadening pads just to isolate them from the desk because they were transferring certain frequencies to the desk. It sounded pretty harsh. And to get them up a little bit higher to help cut down on reflections. But like, if I wasn't at all concerned about looks, I would have put sound material all over the front of the desk. But at some point, you just have to accept that it's not going to be perfect. But those sound really, really nice. I don't want surround sound at my desk because when I do surround sound, I like to do it right. So I've got a better setup upstairs with a projector and in me and my wife's bedroom / living room with our TV there. So here I just run stereo with a sub. There's an Infinity PSW10 sub in the corner. Not an amazing sub, but it was cheap, and I'm just filling out the bottom for these speakers so it doesn't have to push that much. So it does a pretty good job. I control these with this DBX Go Rack. I think it's really more made for live audio, but it's kind of nice because these are studio monitors. The power switches and the volumes and everything are on the back, and they have XLR hookups. So this lets me pipe in audio output from this monitor so I can run the consoles into the monitor. I can run audio output from the monitor into there so I can pipe that in. It gives me a volume knob. It gives me a mute option. It gives me this thing I really like called a subsynth. If you don't know what a subsynth is, it takes the bottom, this box takes the bottom certain portion of the low frequencies and it duplicates them an octave lower. So it just really fattens out the bottom end. Actually, I think I can play you something to show you. So right now it's off. All right, I'm gonna turn it on. So it's going to be hard to tell because the GoPro mic is kind of garbage, but it doesn't really alter the music at all, like the tonal qualities of the music. It just thickens up the bottom end and it can sound really nice. So I don't use this when I'm mixing audio or doing anything analytical. I don't use it when I'm listening to things that are heavy with a lot of spoken word because it can make voices sound a little weird. Because I really do care about accuracy, which is why I'm using these and not more consumer speakers. But when I'm just like playing games or listening to music and stuff, it can sound really nice having that subsynth for a nice real thick bottom end. That's a Logitech C922, I guess. I'm not a streamer. I don't really care about webcams that much, but it looks good in low light situations. Use it for the podcast. Monitor is a Acer Predator. I forget the exact model name. It'll be in the description. Oh, by the way, so any of the links you see in the description are Amazon affiliate links. I am an Amazon affiliate. You're not going to hurt my feelings if you go buy any of the stuff that you like somewhere else. But I want to be clear up front, if you do buy anything by clicking on the links in the description, that will be supporting my channel, which of course I appreciate, but I don't want you to feel like blindsided or like I'm trying to swindle money out of you, because I'm certainly not. But I know a lot of times people ask for me to put links to all the various things I'm using in the descriptions of videos, so if you want links, there they are. But that is a 32-inch 4K 60 Hertz G-Sync monitor. I had this 27-inch 4K 60 Hertz non-G-Sync monitor, and I've really, really liked it, but I was starting to feel like it was a little bit too small, and I wanted to try G-Sync. And for the inevitable comments I'm going to get about why didn't you go with 1440p 144 Hertz G-Sync, my friend Dave, the Evil Viking 13, has a monitor like that, and I've played with it for a bit, and 144 hertz is nice, but I much prefer G-Sync and 4K to 144 hertz in 1440p. So this is why it's a good fit for me. There's very few games that I enjoy more at like above 100 FPS that I wouldn't enjoy at 60, but there are plenty of games I play somewhere below 60 that the G-Sync monitor helps for, and of course 4K looks awesome for a variety of things, so I like that. This is just a 27-inch Asus 1080p monitor. I use this normally when I'm recording the Potato Masher or one of the consoles, because I can do like all my recording on my main screen, and then I can have the Elgato throwing everything up there. It's not an incredible monitor as far as picture quality, but it's not a bad monitor because it has DisplayPort and HDMI, DVI, VGA. It supports pretty much everything, has speakers built in. When my wife and I lived in a camper, we actually used that as our TV for a couple years because it also has HDCP. So not a bad setup overall. Quite a bit worse of a monitor than this Predator, but I got a decent deal on the Predator refurbished because these things new are a little more money than I think they're probably worth, but I am certainly enjoying this one. Okay, so mice and keyboards, Corsair M45 mouse, Corsair K70 keyboard. I'll link to these, or like the newest version of these, because these are like 2.5 years old now. I like them. This is my first mechanical keyboard, or my first like gaming mechanical keyboard. I've had an older IBM that I thought was pretty good too. No real complaints. Works really well. I mean, there's lots of complaints from my friends who I play games with that this keyboard is super loud, but what are you gonna do about it? This is my favorite mouse style, the Microsoft Sidewinder. They discontinued them. I still have this old one I bought when I was in college that I don't use a ton, but I'm keeping it around, and I don't use it a ton because I don't want it to break. But I had another version, an older Sidewinder that had metal feet. Whoops, well, I just knocked the door over. But it had metal feet and adjustable weights and a bunch of other things, and then it quit working. So I'm trying to make this Sidewinder last a while because they're really hard to find. But I use this and this old Dell keyboard for any computers I'm working on or I've got plugged in or whatever else. And then this is the Potato Masher's mouse and keyboard. Not much to say about them. They still work fine. I don't really like wireless mice and keyboards that much, but these were cheap at the time and it works fine. So normally if I'm recording Potato Masher games, I'll just move this over there, put this down here, scoot this in, and then this isn't actually that weird to play with once you get used to it. It's a little weird when you're looking at it, I know, but it's not too bad. I'm an insulated water bottle. We're really getting into who cares, why are you showing this territory, but I really like having an insulated water bottle because it keeps my water cold for like 12 hours at a time. I have this Nightcore flashlight. This is my favorite flashlight. It is crazy bright, hard to appreciate in a small room, but when you use it outside, it's really pretty awesome, and I'll be using it. It's sitting out because I got to use it to show you stuff in the computer case. This is a Kindle Fire, I guess the 8-inch version. I had a Nexus 7 tablet and I liked that for reading, but I just wasn't using it that much, and then my wife got a Kindle Fire because it was on sale for like 80-90 bucks, something like that, and she didn't like how low res the screen was because she was using it for YouTube videos, but for reading it was fine, so I just traded with her and she's got my Nexus and I have that. This is a Nexus 6P. This is my phone. I like it. Now that I work in an office, I think I might switch to something a little bit smaller, like a 5 to 5.2 inch phone, but I haven't really decided. This is my SteelSeries mouse pad. Bought this in college. It's one of the few college gaming peripherals I still have. Still works fine. It's starting to get kind of scuffed up though and looking pretty ratty, like it's dirty, but I've cleaned it a bunch of times. I think it's just, you know, it's breaking down, so I'll probably need to replace it at some point. Headphones. These are my single favorite pair of headphones I've ever owned. These are Beyerdynamic DT770 Pros. These are the 80 ohm versions. They have awesome sound isolation. They're very, very comfortable, have really big ear cups. They can sit on your head for 8 to 10 hours a day. They get a little bit warm after a while, but that's it. Like, they don't clamp too hard. They sound great. They're comfy. Awesome all-around headphones. I absolutely love them. And then these are a bit cheaper. These are the ones I use for work. These are Status CB1s. Their cord doesn't coil that well. But think of these as like Beats, but with not the obnoxious branding, and they sound a little better, and they're only 80 bucks. Like, these are really, really awesome. I've showed them to quite a few people who enjoy nice sounding stuff, and they are consistently blown away that this much headphone can be had for $80. The build quality is not incredible, but if you're looking for a good closed pair of gaming cans for under $100, I would definitely consider these. If you want open ones, I wouldn't. Like if you want Sennheisers or something, that could be good for shooters. But if you just want some basic foldable closed cans that sound really awesome, for under $100, I don't know you could do much better than that. That's books forming a monitor stand. I don't think anyone cares about that. This is a Rode NT USB mic. This is not my favorite location to mount it because I think it makes my voice sound a little bit worse than it did in the old position, but it's a good sounding mic. Not much to say about it. Basic USB condenser mic. I want eventually a Shure SM7B, but I haven't really decided I want to cough up the money to get like a nice interface and a cloud lifter and everything else. Like I think total it would cost me about $600 to get up and running with a SM7B, so haven't really decided I want to make that jump yet because by comparison that sounds pretty good, but there it is. PS4, Xbox One, the PS4 Pro is upstairs plugged into the projector right now, so you're not going to be able to see that today. Sorry, I didn't really think about that, but I mean, you've seen a PS4 Pro, you've seen them all. This is my Xbox 360 controller that I use for my PC. I got it in college for like $20. It's my favorite controller. The sticks are starting to mess up a little bit, but I'm going to keep it as long as I can. These extensions on it, these were actually sent to me by a company called PlayBuds. They reached out and asked if they could send them to me to try. I've got no sponsorship with them or anything like that. But I will put a link to their company in the description because they were nice enough to send these to me for free, and I have enjoyed them. They're extensions for people with big hands. I don't know how they found out I've got big hands, but there you go. It just makes it a little easier to rest on your hands and hold them for longer gaming sessions. I actually wish it was longer. Like it could be this long and I would probably enjoy it, but as is, it's made it a little bit more comfortable to hold the controller for long sessions. So check them out if you're interested. If you're like me and you got big hands and you get frustrated with your controller sometimes, it might be worth it. I don't really like the Xbox One controller as much. You can see it gathers dust. I only use it when I'm playing the Xbox One. I don't use it on PC. The sticks, they don't feel as good, and the rest of the controller has just a couple minute differences I don't like as much. I do like the triggers more on the Xbox One controller, and I like the overall aesthetic a little better, but not as good. And then here's the DualShock. This one is not super comfortable for me to use because of where my thumbs land. I have to like hold it like that, and I don't really like it, but I can use it like on my knuckles like that, and it's not too bad. Card reader for my camera, no one cares. Here's just a basic Corsair headset I use when I'm gaming on console. I need to use a mic. And I've got this StarTech adapter. If you were going to buy one thing out of the description, this is like $10, and it's totally worth it because it turns a normal 3.5 millimeter headphone and microphone plugs into a single 4-pin that you can use on a PlayStation controller. You can use them with a phone. I use this for business calls sometimes. You can use it for all kinds of stuff. This printer, I know that's not really like a big setup video thing that people like to look at, but people who hate printers have never used a nice business laser printer. And this was like $130 maybe. This is really cheap. I've had it for 3 years and it works flawlessly. Like that's all I can say about it is I plugged it in, I set it up, and it's just worked from then on, and there's no stupid add-on software that makes it really annoying to use. It just works. I can use scans, I can do printing, whatever. It's awesome. Here's my work bag. It's an Osprey Flapjack. Not much to say about that. I got it on the Amazon warehouse for like $45, and it's supposed to be a $100 bag. They said it was in used, acceptable condition, and I have not found anything wrong with it other than it attracts dog hair, but that's not really the bag's, that's not Amazon warehouse's fault. I have this is my old boot drive. This is a 240 gig Samsung 840 Evo that I've stuck in this little external enclosure. Who makes the enclosure? Sabrent. Sabernet? Sabrent. I think it's Sabrent. I'll put this in the description. A lot of small enclosures kind of suck. This one's been pretty good. I think it was like $10, and I use this as an external SSD right now, which is awesome. My work laptop, well, I'm technically borrowing this from my friend Joel. It's his work laptop, but he's using a MacBook Air instead, so this is a 2013 MacBook Pro. Again, I don't know if anybody cares about minute details like that, but I'm showing them to you anyway. Here's my personal laptop. This is a ThinkPad T460S. Not much to talk about. Super thin, very light, excellent specs. Think of it as basically a MacBook Pro for under $1,000 and a little bit lighter. This is 3 pounds, I think. It weighs about the same as a MacBook Air, but it's a little bit thicker. So it's like the thickness of a MacBook Pro, internals of a MacBook Pro, the lightness of a MacBook Air. Awesome trackpad, much better than most PC laptops I've had in the past. Not currently using this for a lot at the moment, but I do really like ThinkPads. All right, I think that's everything up top. Let's hop down and look at the inside of the computer itself. Just being honest with you guys, cords are always a little bit of a mess because I move things around so often. I told you I wasn't going to clean things up excessively just to show it to you. So things are normally a little messy down here because I'm always moving stuff around. So that's the Kindle's plug. This is a Western Digital 4 terabyte external. This is actually the Plex server's backup. There's an identical one on top of the Plex server that holds all the Plex files because the internal drive's really small. And then this is a backup of it. I mean, they're just like, they're movies and stuff that I just don't like carrying the binder around to all the different places in the house, and I use Chromecast to do a lot of streaming, Chromecast and NVIDIA Shield. So I don't want to carry discs around all the time. I don't want to have Blu-ray players everywhere. So I've just ripped all my actual stuff and put it on Plex. So if I lose it, it's not the end of the world, it's just inconvenient. Well, that's just a longer DisplayPort cable. That's not interesting. Under here, so this is going to be a little bit hard for me to get in here and show you stuff, but I'm going to do my best. Hopefully it's visible. So that is a Blu-ray drive. That's what I use to actually rip all my stuff. External Blu-ray drive. I've got a DVD drive, but I haven't used it in who knows how long. This is my business's work drive. This is a 2 terabyte Western Digital Elements. That's its backup, which is a 2 terabyte LaCie I've had for a while. And then, of course, all of this is backed up in the cloud. But here's my computer. This is I don't really have a name for this one, actually. I've named the Potato Masher, I've named the Smasher, and the Potato Masher Pro. Don't have a name for this one, it's just my computer. The case is a Fractal Design R5. Very, very quiet case. It has sound deadening material. I'm not really one for flashy cases, I just like good cases that work. And this is a very good one, has lots of nice features, super easy to build into, and it works really well. Going down the list, this is a 1 terabyte SanDisk SSD. I use that for games and important programs. This is a 240 gig Samsung 840 EVO boot drive, 2 Western Digital Caviar Green 4 terabytes, that's internal storage backup, and then 2 Seagate Barracudas. One is for downloads, game installs, mostly game installs, honestly, so I can leave a bunch of things installed at one time. Use it just as like a temp drive when I'm moving big things back and forth. And then the last one is a recording drive, which is what I record everything to. Seagate Barracudas aren't quite as reliable as Western Digitals, but they're super cheap and they're very fast for the money, and this is stuff that doesn't have to be backed up because I can just re-download games. So I'm not really worried about something ever happening to one of those, but they've done great for years. Fans, this is a Scythe fan. It's very, very quiet. I got that when I was in college, so I guess that's one of the things that's survived a couple different builds. It's very quiet. It's just pulling in a little bit of air. As you can see, yes, this is like a Tupperware container lid that I'm using to keep my computer isolated from the carpet. But yeah, eventually one day I'll make a better solution. I just never got around to it. An EVGA 850 G2 power supply. I don't really like modular or semi-modular power supplies because it's more points of failure, but I know a lot of people prefer them. That's totally fine. This one's mine. I don't know if you guys, I guess I'll just go up from the top. Zotac GTX 980 Ti, the amp edition. It's the 3-fan cooler. I really like it. It's been a great card. I'll probably be selling it sometime soon when I can get an aftermarket 1080 Ti. And then that's actually sitting in the second slot on the motherboard because this Nashua NHD14 cooler is massive and takes up a lot of room, and I couldn't actually fit this in with the backplate. I couldn't fit this in underneath it. So you can kind of see my RAM behind it. Not really. It's 32 gigs of DDR 2133, I think, or 2400. What did I get? 2400? I think it's 2400. Yeah, it's 2400. Not 2666. That's right. So that's 32 gigs of DDR3 2400. a 4790K. Currently it's stock clocks, because when I had some RAM go bad, I knocked the clocks down. I just haven't overclocked it again, but I should do a video sometime soon with the faster RAM, because I've saved some of the older RAM, so I can do a comparison between 1333 and 2400. In the back, I forget the name of this fan. Shoot, let me see if I can stop it. Prolima. That's right. Okay, don't do that to your fans. It's a Prolima fan. It's got a ton of fins, and it takes up the space of an 140 mil, but it fits in a 120 mil. Like, it takes up the amount of space of a 140, but it mounts to 120 holes, and it moves a ton of air very, very quietly. So I really like that fan. When the case is off, it's a little bit louder than it is normally. I put a little bit of sound isolation stuff there just to take off some of the reflections that were hitting the bottom of the desk. It made it a little louder, so when I actually put the stuff in, it doesn't make the computer any quieter, of course, but it makes it seem quieter from up top. And then what else would be interesting here? I got a bunch of junk plugged into it that you guys probably don't care about. And that's it. That's my computer. Pretty boring, I know, but it served me very well. I very slowly upgraded it over the years. I don't think I've ever done a complete standalone new build, but I've just upgraded things a little bit at a time. Down here, this is the Elgato HD60 that I use for capturing the potato masher and PlayStation stuff. There's a lot of cords because I switch the HDMI cables back and forth depending on what I'm recording. And this is a FiO E7K. What is this one? The Andes. The EO7K. E07K. This is my DAC, digital to analog converter, and it is my headphone amp. It runs dual outputs, so I can have my headphones and the speakers working at the same time and just hit the mute on the speakers. That's the sub I was mentioning earlier. And this also has a battery in it, so you can like take it on a plane or something and power 2 sets of headphones, which is pretty cool. That's the potato masher, that stupid aluminum case that you guys all seem to love so much. And that's the underside of my desk. I don't know if that's everything you guys wanted to see, but this is my office. It'll probably look different 6 months from now. I move things around quite a bit. It's not getting into all my tools and everything for working on cars, because that's probably better suited for a different channel / nobody, because it's not interesting. But here's it. This is my setup. This is what I got going on. Oh, last thing I want to show you. So I'm a tall guy, but this has actually made a big difference. This is a footrest from Amazon Basics. It was like 15 bucks. It's all metal. It lets me rest my feet on it while I'm gaming, and I can kick back in my chair a little easier. Less strain on your legs, less strain on your back, more comfortable long term. Probably a lot of you are too young that you don't really care about that yet, but you might one day, and if you do, check it out. So thank you everybody for watching this video. Don't know if it was interesting, but here you go. Hopefully it was what you thought it was going to be, or it was maybe a little more interesting than that. Check out the description if you want to actually buy any of this stuff. And again, you're not going to hurt my feelings at all if you don't like the Amazon affiliate program and want to go somewhere else. But for any of you who want to support the channel or want to use some of the same gear I do, here it is. Last note I'd like to say, because some of you might be wondering, hey, your channel's all about budget gaming. Like, this stuff looks like it may have cost a lot. And it did over time. So I don't want anyone to look at any of this junk and think that like you have to have nice stuff to make good content or to have a great gaming experience, because you absolutely don't. I started with like really garbage tiny mics and a little Logitech small speaker system and really cheap headphones and like a 1680 by 1050 monitor. Like, I started with really, really cheap stuff, and I've just very slowly upgraded it over the years. Like, I'm not young anymore, and I've had a decade or more to be slowly investing money into this, getting 1 or 2 nice things a year. So this is by no means like a super top of the line setup. Like, I'm not trying to humble brag about it, but I do know there might be some people watching this who are wondering why I'd like to talk about budget gaming so much and why I own like a decent chunk of pretty decent equipment. Like, this certainly all costs more than the potato masher. But the reason is I'm very particular about things sounding good and looking good, and I have chosen to invest the money in it over time. So I think all this stuff is not the best stuff you could possibly get, but what I have currently is the best fit for my particular situation. And so over time, I've kind of sculpted this system to be the most enjoyable to use for long periods of time, to be the most fun to game on console or PC, to sound exactly like I want it to sound, a whole bunch of other stuff. So there's many different ways you could get to your own ideal gaming setup, But right now, this is mine. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, have a great day.